voices rise with the engine fire. Every replay, every stand-up fight, felt it together on race night. In the night that the legends lead, all the underdog, every winning streak. From hometown heroes to the final line, we hold on till the end of the fight. When the string goes down, the echoes remain. Another chapter written in speed and fame. If you live for the more than the racing truth, learn to own grip network. That's you. Sign of faith, but the passion stays. Another race in the broadcast haze till the lights go green and the mics ignite. Learn to own grip network. Grips the night.
With tonight, we are streaming cyberspace into your place from USA's International Speedway. It's the Virtual Grips Network's 9th round coverage of the Bootleg Racing League's late model invitational season 33. Now the intro begins after I do the lead-in. With tonight and 2 more races to go before a 33rd late model BRL champion is crowned. Like a shrunken pair of Fruit of the Looms, the race for this season's Golden Laurel Wreath is very tight, with 2-time and defending title holder James Lowe leading Ed Foster by a mere 4/10 of points. If the championship comes down to a handful of markers in Lowe's favor, Foster's underachieving season opening result is the hook that the Aussie can hang his bush hat of disappointment on. Seattle Blade has finished in the top 5 each race this season, with the exception of that opener, when Foster came home in 11th. Yes, if ifs were fifths, we'd all be drunk nevertheless. It's hard for Foster fans not to wish their man could H.G. Wells' time machine himself back a few months and change history. But for now, the space-time continuum flows only steadily forward. And just ahead, calling like a siren from a flowery meadow surrounded by rocks and the rotting corpses of sailors, is USA Speedway. Or like Odysseus between the devil and the deep blue sea, pull the lever on the lazy boy if you dare, and fearlessly sail the exciting seas that is simulated late model racing cars on a short track. From the state that introduced the world to the hanging Chad, warm Florida, hello and welcome on this Saturday, March 11th. It's March 14th, 2026. Jeremy Gridlock Scott joins yours truly, Bill Subson. Hi, from the VGN broadcast booth, bringing our words eye view, turn the knobs and pushing the sliders. Well, it's replay Ryan Seneca. Okay, partner, what do you know?
Well, it's one of our longest tracks that we run on the schedule, 3/4 of a mile, 14 degrees of banking. Unfortunately, USA Speedway shuttered in 2008, but ran a lot of different series. And of course, we're looking to see if the 2 in a row will end tonight again. James Lowe has 2 2-in-a-row races. We've seen him win South Boston and New Smyrna. He had a rough go of it last night, but also, Soup, something to keep in mind. It's the first time these late model cars will come onto the circuit with a new layout that iRacing, a new model, I should say, that iRacing updated for this next season.
Always fun. And of course, when my partner talks about last night, VGN covers the super late models, and they race right here. So you get a little feel of what's going on. Those cars are a little more powerful. These cars are a little more underpowered, a little more of a, well, a little bit of a more, just got to keep the momentum going. It's a momentum race car. Let's take a quick look at the points. James Lowe and Ed Foster, as mentioned in the opening, are separated by a mere 4 points. Foster has 4 wins. Thank goodness the rule package for the BRL does not give bonus points for win, or Foster's lead would be considerably more. Watch out for Chris Worrell. He's a hot shot rookie. He has a win this season, and he's only 13 back, maybe too far behind with only 3 races to go, but really the only other driver with a legitimate chance to win the championship. Todd Lisson having a nice run. We'd be remiss if we did not talk about the boss man, Lowell Jewell. How about that? Up 2 spots this round, sitting inside the top 5 in points. The sport has not passed him by. Rounding out the back half of your top 10, well, it's the quiet man, Ruben Ortiz, with the caveman, Trey Bloom. Adam Shane's been up and down the standings all season. He's settling in 8th right now. The Canadian Goose, John Wilson, right behind him. And Cucumber Kurt Smith. Both Wilson and Smith, former champions. All right, with that said, let's talk about, we're always picking up new viewers, so we have to go through the routine and talk about what's the format for tonight's event.
Yeah, of course, the grid is always set by the last race results, except for the top 13, where they are always inverted. Also, iRacing. They control all cautions. They control all race control options. We do have double file restarts. Lap down cars go automatically to the back of the pack. Leader has lane choice. Of course, we do have a lucky dog rule here in the BRL. With the first car 1 lap or more down, gets the lucky dog. No tire changes, no fast repair. You rung what you brung. Big boy racing here, and only one green-white checker event.
If you were to ask me, Soup, what's the perfect size for a field? What's the perfect car count for a short track racing here at USA? I'd tell you, about 12.5, and that's exactly what we got here tonight. 18 drivers taking the grid. Let's give them to you now. My partner talked about it. These are based on inverting the Baker's Dozen, top Baker's Dozen from the previous race. That's going to put Chris Davis. Oh, can you say wire to wire? That's what I like when I see Chris Davis on the pole. He's going to be flanked by the Racing Rev, the Lipper, Chris Hazlett.
Benny and the Jets Ellison rolls off third alongside the Chiefs, Steve Hilbert.
Ruben Ortiz has a win this season. It was in the season opener. It's been a long time since that happened. He'll be starting in 5th. And there he is, the boss man, 5th in points, 6th on the grid.
As you take a look at row 4, it's Jeffrey Harden and Kenny Allen. Papa Kenny Allen joining us again this week.
The next row is populated by Todd Liston and the man that's trying to chase down James Lowe, Ed Foster. He'll be starting in 10th, ahead of Lowe.
As you take a look at row 6, it's Chris Worrell and your points leader, James Lowe.
Baby brother, Tom Hilbert starts in the Baker's Dozen spot. He's going to be inside of the Canadian Goose, John Wilson.
You take a look at our champ from 2 seasons ago. He's rolling off 15th. It's Kurt Smith, and Adam Shane rolls off alongside.
It's always wonderful to see Marino Valente as he's here. A serviceable race driver, a very good poker player with Brendan Myers back there in 18th. All right, partner.
Well, of course, it's going to be interesting to see how this new model works out. Of course, the big thing is under yellow. If we have a long green flag run and we go under full yellow caution, I should say, it will create some pickup with the tires. You'll get to see a lot of rubber rubbed up. We saw that last night during the super late model race, and one of the 4 or 5 cautions that we had, the only one that came off of a long run. So that was interesting. And of course, as you see, the rubber, it's not going to be just visual anymore. It's going to be a part of the racing action. So it's going to make things a little bit more difficult if you decide to go to an unclean high line. Pace car will be pulling off here shortly, coming off a 3 and 4. We thank you for joining us here on the Virtual Grip Network. Of course, as always, gotta say hello and good evening to Aunt Mary Alice on Pi Day, no less. Chris Davis has the control, and he's going to take the green. The green flag is out as the Racing Rev decides to go side-by-side with Benny Ellison, but he's going to take the higher line into 1 and 2, and it's going to be side-by-side from second on back. Davis opening up a pretty decent lead.
Out in front, ducking into 7th is Electric Boots, Benny Ellison. My partner talked about the unclean high line. That's very kosher of him. Everybody trying to get down. James Lowe had a horrible start. Now, he started on the outside, right behind the man who's chasing him in the points, Ed Foster. Can we go back and look at that real quick? There's Foster, and there's Lowe, both stuck on the top. You are clear down low, Ed, if you want to come down. Hey, he's listening to the broadcast.
Wow, that's multi-talented right there, as you do see a little bit of jostling for position back there. The points leader right behind the Adelaide Blade. You're also seeing Chris Worrell going around the inside of the 87 of Todd Liston. That's a battle for fifth place as Liston gets back in the position. The Chief slides on up, and that's what I'm talking about. You don't normally see that here on the VGM broadcast. As now, the Chief runs into the Adelaide Blade, but you see Foster trying to get a gap between he and James Lowe, but Lowe closing in on the back of Foster.
Blade does not have to win. He just needs to finish in front of Lowe and see if he can cut down the gap a little bit between him and the two-time champion. You know, it's interesting. We were talking about Liston. You were watching him there. He's racing a little higher than anybody else, leaving that inside line open. Last night in the super late models, what was the preferred line? Was it the inside line, or did the top ever come in?
The top kind of came in, but the inside line was definitely the preferred line. And that, especially because once a longer run happened at the end of the race, everybody just taking that low line. There were some who tried the high line a little bit, but again, you don't normally see that high line work too well in the super late models. As Pop Kenny Allen going to go high, wide, and handsome. He's going to lose at least one spot to the boss man, Lowell Jewell, but still they're going to be side by side. I'm going to be keen to see how this high line works out, because if Kenny Allen can make it work, I think the rest of the field might try it as well.
Well, Kenny was up there. He left the inside open for Lowell. Of course, Lowell Jewell's voice is very low, and right now so is his preferred racing line. The number 2 racing underneath the 49. They continue to be side by side. Look what happens right in front of them. Watch out for this kid, Chris Worrell, the Whirlwind. He got underneath Todd Liston. Liston's been leaving that inside door open. He does the same for the boss man. Apparently the 87 likes it up there. Maybe he's just trying to save his tires, thinking that the load line uses them up too much. Now he cuts down in front of Lowell. Meanwhile, Worrell up into 5th space.
So now you see Foster going low on Kenny Allen as they go side by side coming through turn number 4, and the boss man trying to go around the inside of Liston as well. He takes a look as they go into turn number 1, gets that right front up to that left rear of the 87s. You got a couple of great battles here. Of course, you've got Davis and Ellison who've just started walking away for the rest of the field, and I have to say this now, I can say it, a much calmer, much cleaner start that we saw last night. There were at least 3 cautions within the first 10 laps, 4 within the first quarter of the race. So not sure if drivers now finally getting this car under them as they work their way around the field. You see Liston and Allen going high, wide, and handsome, losing spots left and right. That has given Foster and Lowe a chance to go up, and now Worrell goes around the inside of Jeffrey Harden. He goes around the inside of Hazelip. So that's the sights on Harden, I should say.
Indeed, of course, Jeffrey Harden notorious for flamboyant race schemes or race paint jobs. Out there in another one tonight. Betty's Diner. Sounds like someplace you might find out in Bakersfield. If you're stranded when your car breaks down out there in the heat and the dust of that horrific town, head on over to Betty's Diner. Tell them Soup sent you. We're looking at Lowe. Now, this is the big news. Look how Lowe is right behind Foster.
Exactly. Lowe gained another 2 points, I should say, on Ed Foster. It's a 4-point gap between the two of them. But, of course, Foster, he is, happy-go-lucky. I'm just happy to be here. And we're just going to try and do our best and keep James behind us. We know it's going to be tight. I know that sounded like the British version of Ed, but let's roll with it anyway.
It was good, partner. I liked it.
I'm trying as Lowe tries to go low on Foster. Foster's going to shut the front door on him. Of course, now they've got to work their way towards the boss man, Lowell Jewell, who's has a great top 5 run so far. And if I'm Worrell, I'm kind of watching my mirror and saying, hey, wait a second. That looks like my car, except that's only the boss man's.
Boy, there is good racing in the back, but right now I'd be remiss if I didn't talk about the job that Benny Ellis is doing. Electric boots out there in the number 45. Beautiful paint scheme. That paint scheme alone is probably worth a 10th second each lap. Right behind Chris Davis. Now, I got to think Davis has the experience. He's going to be better later. He's just out there minding his tires right now. Ellison doing everything he can to stay with the speedster in front of him. Let's see if the 45 has anything when it's time to boogie.
He had a little bit of a rough go last night with a couple of incidents, not of his doing. I will say this, though. We went without the first lap about Shamazo, where at least, I would say, Ryan confirmed with me, I think it was 2/3 of the field that was wrapped up in that first lap crash. Yeah. So Ryan confirming it was about two-thirds of the field decided from about 5th on back. Just wrecked coming off of turn 4 to start the race.
All right, the story of the race and the story of the season is where we're looking right now. That is Foster. And my goodness, hello, says James Lowe. Lowe knows right now that Foster has knocked off, chiseled away 1 point off of that 4-point lead. If he were able to do that for 2 more races, he'd lose only by 1 point. So Lowe knows every point is so valuable right now. And the 99 out there in his just generic Chevy paint scheme, giving the Adelaide Blade a little, well, showing him what's for.
By the way, here's a little known fact.
Okay.
James Lowe actually copped a black flag for going too high onto the racetrack early, coming off of pit road.
Drill down a bit. This race?
Yes. No, last night.
Okay.
I say, ladies and gentlemen, I think I did something rare. I made Soup speechless.
I will. What's interesting, so did that happen on the start?
No, he was involved in several incidents. He had to come down pit road, make some repairs. And then when it came out, I would say it was a good 50 yards before the blue cone. He took a couple wheels off, and that was enough for iRacing to ding him with a black flag. As you see, Foster taking the block onto James Lowe, heading down through 1 and 2. So that was a wild race. This right now, a much tamer race than what we saw last night here at USA International Speedway with the super late models. Everybody playing nice and coy, you know, smiling, happy people everywhere.
Is that a YouTube reference?
That's REM.
That's REM. I knew I had the wrong group. I get those two confused. I hate smiling happy people. One of the most overrated song in all of pop history. A driver who is not overrated, though, is James Lowe. If Foster lets Lowe get underneath him, I'm going to be quite upset. I'd sacrifice a little time, keep that 99. Good drive off of 2. Here comes Lowe. He's going to peek down in there. Not yet.
Well, hey, at least unlike Morrissey, you and I decided to show up and call this race. But either way, the wheel of Morrissey cancellations keeps getting larger and larger, but Lowe also looming larger and larger in the back of Foster's mirrors. He's trying to go high. Now he's going to go low. Now he's going to go back into line once again. This is exactly what Foster needs to do. Hold his line and make Lowe work for it.
So there are 2 stories. We're watching Foster try to keep the low line protected. Covering the inside like wall-to-wall carpet is Ed Foster. Then the other story are the guys who are trying to run down the front 2. Davis and Ellison. But here comes Jeffrey Harden, Chris Worrell. And my goodness, he must have got a new crate of Ben Gay, because Lowell Jewell, the old man making a move.
Quite well. I'm starting to wonder if somebody entered in Lowell's information in iRacing. And here comes Lowe to the inside of Foster, moves him high, and move your points leader up 1 spot. And that's just going to give another shot to Lipson, who's going to try and go around the inside of Foster. And now the game is afoot. I think this is the closest that we've seen any sort of championship contender in a while. And Lowe's just saying, you know what, if you're just going to sit there, I'm going to go.
So you have to remember the grid is always inverted from the previous round, so you really don't know how fast each of these drivers are. And I really think Foster was struggling a bit. He was holding up a long train of cars. Now the good news for the Adelaide Blade is that there are several cars up in front that are going to be tough for Lowe to get around. Lowe now looking to get on the back of Lowell Jewell, get around him. We could go green all the way. I'm predicting it. I hope you got your snacks. I don't think you're going to get a yellow flag break tonight.
You know, that's fine. It gets us done a little sooner. I can go ahead and start hitting the Irish whiskey a little earlier. It's St. Patrick's Day weekend. You know, why the heck not? Hey, I've got to say this. Jeffrey Harden won his 2nd super late model race of the season. And I know that Brandy's watching. So, Brandy, you know, we'll figure out a way to get get your man a new steering wheel. We might have to do that GoFundMe, though.
No, they don't need the GoFundMe. They are going to make money hand over fist with Randy's candy apple business that's starting up. That's just a food you just don't see a lot of anymore. Chris Worrell holding up the line now. Yeah, really?
Around here, at least in the around here you do, especially around Halloween.
There you go. Working lap 32. A third of the way through. It's been all Chris Davis. Benny Ellison right behind him. Okay, I think surrender for Casper is about to happen here as Ellison is beginning to struggle. Here comes Jeffrey Harden.
I've got to say, we've got a very lively chat out here. Coach 15 Adamo saying super lates get loose easily on corner exit on this track due to a larger amount of horsepower, which does make sense, especially with what is normally a lower banking than what we're used to. But yeah, once Ellison gets out of the way, the cork of the bottle is going to be popped, and all of Chris Davis is going to have a whole bunch of company in some very, very fast cars as well. And I think that's another reason why Lowell has been able to compete, is the fact that Ellison just holding his own right there. 0.7 of a second separate. But here's the thing, now Ellison is starting to reel in Chris Davis.
Perhaps, maybe he's backing up. I'm telling you right now, Chris Davis multitasking right now, trying to race forward and then also looking on the internet, seeing the easiest way to register for the Benny Ellison fan club, because right now Ellison is keeping the wolves behind. My dad used to say, the hounds are after the hare and it won't be long till the chef's cooking up the Hassenpfeffer. Well, the rabbit is Chris Davis, and here come the hounds. Ellison, Harden, Worrell, Jewell, Lowe, Foster, Liston, they're all coming. Allen, Wilson, Hazlip, Smith.
And a partridge in a pear tree. Ma Foster asking, did we change our clocks in summertime? Yes, except if you're in Arizona, where hey, we don't change our clocks here. We're well ahead of the curve. Well, congratulations. Would love to join you guys. But yeah, we've changed our clocks. It's nice for those of us who don't have morning shift because, yeah, sunset is going to be at 7 here in the Midwest in just a couple of days.
You know, Ed Foster's at a disadvantage. Because in Australia, they don't change it back an hour. They go like a whole month because things are different down there. So we're all racing in March. He's racing in February.
Well, he's racing upside down too. You know, that's the thing. That's a rule. When you have to run an American series, you have to run upside down. I don't make the rules. Now the boss man's the cork in the bottles. He's trying to hold off James Lowe. But here's the thing. I don't think that if this cork's popped, it's going to be easy for the rest of the field to get around as much as it was with Benny Ellison. And that's not a knock on Ellison, which, by the way, because Chris Davis is saving tires, Ellison able to close in just a little bit more, 0.2 of a second behind Chris Davis. So I have a feeling the game's afoot, and that Ellison, if he can get up there, he might make things a little bit harder on the 7 of Davis.
To quote Shakespeare, I think it goes this way: something is fishy in Florida. I don't know why Davis is coming back to the field. He's had nobody around him. Just based on my experience of watching drivers, Davis is clearly a faster driver than Ellison is, but yet he comes back. I've spent some time with Davis in the booth, and he knows the importance for VGN to have drama. Perhaps he's just coming back to give Soup and Grid Lap something to talk about. Worrell looking on the back of Jeffrey Harden.
Too much credit. I think the tire saving is something more, because now you see him pick up the pace a little bit more. Now he sees a bigger lime green Dodge right behind him, but Worrell going to the inside of Harden. Harden shutting the door. This is the line that worked for him last night. We'll see if it continues to work for the lighter car, lighter horsepower, late model of the 36 as they're working their way around 3 and 4 once again. Lap 44 will be started right now.
Well, I predicted we'd go green, but I didn't know that Davis was going to run out of pace and bring everybody back. So Ellison has got him. Trying to think who's the best out of all the guys who are coming. Harden has been really smooth. Whirl has been good. The Bengay Express, Lowell Jewell. I don't know how quick he is. Lowe, you know, is fast. Foster surrendered the spot to Lowell, but maybe Foster's thinking, I'll be fast. Boogie time, Sue. I get you.
Oh, you know what? No, Ryan making a good point here in our ears. That I don't know how many people are trying to wait for that caution. But, here's the thing, and I like Ryan's point, but at the same point, if everybody's saving for a caution, will there be a caution because nobody's running at full throttle? It's Schrodinger's caution, as now you see Whirl going to the inside. There's probably that caution right there. But no, a little bit of contact with the...
There's your caution.
We stay green. There's our caution. We willed it into existence, ladies and gentlemen.
So they looked in the box, and the caution flag was indeed alive. Jeffrey Harden goes around. You can feel it coming because they were lining up behind him, and it was going to be very interesting. What do you say, partner, if our director can do? Oh, we look at the replay.
Ooh, yeah, so Whirl tries to straighten him out, so does the right thing. But
good.
Kenny Allen goes, you know what? I want that yellow.
Oh. Papa, he had it saved. Get on the binders. Okay, what do you say, Benny Ellison? That sound good as an interview?
That's exactly who I was thinking.
Let's go ahead. I'll take the first question. We'll bring in Benny here. Benny, it's Soup up in the booth. What the heck is going on? You were right behind Davis, then you fell back. I thought you were cooked. Next thing I know, you're running them down again. Help me understand what's going on.
Well, the story is this entire season and the last season, I had a big flaw in my pedal settings. I discovered it last week, and really I've just been running my line that I think is saving my tires, and I think he's starting to wear his a little bit.
All right, so we saw last night, we couldn't even make it a full lap without a caution. How does it feel like you're running 46 laps without the yellow rag coming out?
Honestly, it feels like it's a lot of work running up in front. I'm so used to running in the back and just running my pace, and up here it's a little intense.
All right, go get them. They're doubling up. Aunt Mary Alice is watching. That's James Lowe's relative. And St. Patrick's Day coming up. I got a feeling she plucked a couple four-leaf clovers. Not only is James Lowe's good, but he always gets the break. He gets the inside line here on this restart. Stuck on the outside is the Adelaide Blade, Ed Foster. I don't care how good you are. Does he race in odd positions on purpose? Maybe so.
Well, we'll see what happens. Of course, we know that James Lowe, once James Lowe catches up to Chris Davis, it's going to be a very interesting mix. Also, he also have Chris Whirl. Don't mind me, I'm okay. It's just been off. I've already been yelled at several times for getting names wrong today. But, you've got Chris Whirl sitting there in third place. He's got one win. He's itching for another. He's had a rough go of it on Friday nights. Saturday seems to be his only salvation as the field is working their way around to the back straightaway with the lights out on the base car. It's Benny Ellison, Chris Davis down the front row. It'll be Chris's restart to call. Then it's Chris Whirl and the boss man, Lowell Jewell, up high in fourth. Fifth and sixth, yep, it's our points protagonists. I'm using big words today. James Lowe and Ed Foster. Pace car comes down, and we're back underway here in just a couple of yards. And it's Chris Davis getting the jump here. Green flag is out once again, still side by side. And Davis going to pop up high to get a good line off one. And here comes Whirl to the inside of Ellison. And what's interesting, Soup, is I didn't see too many drivers. Whoa! It's a little bit of a wiggle, little touch there from buddies. Lowe and Whirl there on the back straightaway, but didn't see too many people try and clean their tires.
If I was having a dinner party, I'd invite the outside row That was Ellison and Lowell Jewell and Ed Foster. But if I wanted to cook up a yellow flag, I'd invite the inside rule. Davis, Worrell, and Lowe. The inside row has managed to race now after that restart, first, second, and fourth. Ellison was able to get down inside of Lowe. Lowe stuck back there in fourth. Where is Ed Foster? He was stuck on the outside. Oh, he's relegated down to sixth.
Yeah, he really is, but it's still pretty early in this run. Anything can happen, and he could catch up. But now Worrell knocking on the door of Chris Davis. And you see Ellison getting very racy and kind of playing the defensive block on Lowe. We're yellow once again.
Oh, it's the boss man, Lowell Jewell. Off the pace. Now, I don't know if this is from the caution that starts ahead of it or if this was the caution. Lowell Jewell just is slow on the straight. I'm not sure what's going on here.
Oh, man, he just gets tagged. Not a good weekend. Not a good weekend, as now the racing rev puts him into the wall, and it's not going to be Lowell who's going to have to go right into confession.
I think maybe he saw a ghost or something there, and he just lifted in the... When you get punted on the straightaway, it's hard for me not to put the blame on the guy behind, but that was interesting. Maybe we can talk to the Lipper and see what his take of that one was. What do you think?
Yeah, let's do that. I'm in the mood.
Dial up Chris Hazlip. Chris, the soup of the booth. You're just driving down the straightaway, minding your own business, and then I think Lowell was stopping for a hot dog or something.
Yeah, I really don't know what happened because everybody's pace was the same. Did he have to check up or something?
It's a mystery to me, man. We'll watch it on the replay. We'll see how it goes. Partner?
Yeah. I've got to say this. Does the car feel at least a hair better than it did last night?
Yeah, I've had to switch the gears. I had a problem changing into third last night. It would just rev high, but it wouldn't go into gear, and I didn't know that was happening. I thought I was spinning the tires, but I'm using different gears tonight.
All right, go get him. We'll keep an eye on you. You're having a good race so far.
All right, thanks, guys.
Tell me these guys don't take this thing seriously. We talked to who do we talk? Ellison, and he talks about how he has a new brake setup. We talked to the Racing Rev, Hazlip. He's got new gears. My goodness.
Yeah, so there's that. With 58 laps in the books, Davis has led them all, but here's the thing. On the outside, you've got one fast driver in Chris Worrell. Also, James Lowe sitting back there in fourth place.
But you said it. In fourth. Even number.
It's going to be a hairy restart, to say the least, I think.
And you've got Ed Foster right behind him. Now, I know that Canadians and Australians both speak in an accent, and the countries are very geographically different on the globe. I have a globe, and I know this. I know Canadians are polite. I don't know about Australians. What I'm saying is, Blade, go ahead and give Lowe hello. He deserves it.
Hello, mate. As he gets him in, he's just going to get him in the tail and just spin him around. Well, we'll see what happens. We both know that Foster can be a little aggressive, but not to the point to ruin somebody's race on purpose, we hope. Green flag is back underway as Davis gets a good jump. He knows who he's got behind him, and he immediately shuts the door on him, brings Worrell with him around turns 1 and 2 as Lowe's going to go high. Ellison's going to try and keep him up there as they go side by side coming off the backstretch.
Look at Electric Blutes trying to close the parking space that Lowe wants to put the car. They come off of 4, the momentum to the top side. The 99, a little bit of a touch. James Lowe wants to come down. There's another bump. Yes, move him out of the way, says Electric Boots. He's got electric boots. He's got a mohair suit. He is Benny Ellison. One more.
And there's going to be some more contact. More contact off of turn number 3. And look who's behind him as well. It's the Adelaide-bladed Foster, who's sitting back there hoping that something happens so he can work his way around. And Lowe's going to lose one position. And there's Todd Liston in the 87.
Car trying to get on the back of it. There is no room for Lowe to put the car. His only option is to get around Ellison. Maybe a bit of the wall for Lowe. This is the best possible news that could happen for Chris Davis and Chris Worrell. Chris squared out in front, Davis and Worrell. The battle is back here for third. In the popcorn spot, it's Todd Liston. One hand on the racing wheel has Liston, the other one cradling his new baby girl. They bang again in front.
Of course, also Foster goes a little low, and they're still rubbing doors right there. Lowe gets that nose out front for third place, but he's going to get in that very precarious danger zone. Look at Ellison, though. He's really inching up there, trying to get side by side and keep James Lowe at least somewhere in sight. And, of course, not close enough for Lowe to shut the door on the bottom. They're still side by side through turn number 2. Ellison holding on the best he can to keep Lowe in a position to where he cannot make it up there as he slides him up the racetrack.
Like deep hit poetry. Ellison taking the car in deep. Side by side out of 2 Cialis bathtubs. Butter on his racing gloves. In the popcorn position is Todd Liston. How about Adam Shane? He's back to right behind Liston. The battle is up here for third. Another
battle for third. Oh, it's another tap once again as they work through 1 and 2, and they're still side by side. By the way, Davis and Worrell about 2 seconds up the road, so this battle really creating a huge gap right there. And if Ellison can just stay this way, he's 2/3 of the race. And there's a contact as Lowe shoves him off to the side, almost to the infield. And now Ellison gets back into position. Once again, they're still neck and neck. This is the race of the weekend so far.
That was a preemptive bump by Lowe. I'm going to bump you out of the way on the straightaway so you don't do it to me on the corner. We got a caution. iRacing is going to score. Lowe in third. The only way that was going to be settled. Oh, it's Brendan Myers.
Well, that's a rarity that we see Myers in trouble. Let's see what happens. And he's a little loose there, and looks like there was just some contact with Tilbert. Oh, he almost goes yard across turn number 3 and hits the wall, and that's going to be over for him for the time being.
Yeah, Myers was wandering around the straightaway, and maybe Hilbert came down. It's not Tom's modus operandi to have to do that. Those are 2 good guys. Cursing both of them is Benny Ellison, who had it going on.
I say we bring in Todd Liston as he was the interested spectator in all that. That had to be fun.
Go ahead.
Hey, Todd, it's Jeremy and Soup up in the booth. Man, you had a great view to that battle up ahead of you.
Yeah, nerve-wracking is more like it. Just trying to figure out where I can save tires and not get wrecked, I guess. It was pretty. You guys got me?
Yeah, no, we got you, Soup. That was good. They were going at it, and you were trying. It's tough because you really couldn't give them too much space. You were being hounded from behind.
Oh yeah, no, I had it right behind me. If I lifted up a little bit, he would have been right under me, and it's interesting. Not a normal situation for sure.
Hey, Todd, early in the race, we saw you leave the inside line open and some guys got underneath you. My guess was that was just kind of intentional, that it was too early to try to do that. Am I right about that? Were you just taking the outside line because it's easier on the rubber?
I'd just like to have something left at the end of this one. I've been pretty bad about it.
Well, you're in 5th. You got the inside line. You got some fast guys ahead of you. You could end up in 3rd here when they get this thing sorted out. Good luck.
Thank you, Soup.
Who's in front of Todd Liston, you're asking? Chris Davis, he's pretty fast. James Lowe, he's pretty fast. And then Todd Liston. Who's on the outside? Chris Worrell, well, he's pretty fast. And then I think Benny Ellison is racing. He might be hello to the party here. Benny Ellison putting on quite a show. Here we are with only 28 to go, and the 45 still up there, giving those guys everything they could ask for.
You know, you have those little tweaks. Remember when James Lowe really started ticking off these wins, he admitted to us that I found something in the steering wheel. Well, now Benny Ellison saying he found something in the pedals. Let's hope that Ellison also finds something in the steering wheel, not necessarily Lowe finds something in the pedals, because if that's the case, well, it's going to be a runaway championship, although most of these are by James Lowe, except for this one this season. Pace car pulls off left to the pit road. We're back underway here in just a little bit as Chris Davis will have the jumpy, and he gets the green flag, comes out once again, and he'll do what he did. He'll just dive up high and then get back into the racing line, and that's going to give James Lowe a chance to go to the inside of Chris Worrell through 1 and 2. It's still going to be Worrell on the outside, though. There's going to be some wall slapping back there. Either way, Worrell holding on to that defensive line in second place. It's good friends, but how long will they stay friends right now?
Oh, Smith, Shane, and Ellison were 3 wide, and Soup's rule is that never works, but they made it work. They got out of it quick. We haven't talked a lot about Cucumber Kurt Smith. He does this all the time, racing under the radar. Here comes Smith now up into 7th. Don't know if he has much for the win. James Lowe gets the best of Worrell for 2nd position. Liston stuck back there in 4th. He's probably got the best up. Here comes the blade underneath Liston. Take it in there deep, number 4. Liston's going to leave him room. He's not going to chop him off. That's not how Todd races.
No, that's not how, and of course, the blade ain't going to purposely turn him. That's not how he races. He goes down to the inside. Behind him is Adam Shane, looking to see if he can get around Liston as well for that position. Again, this is for 4th place. Right now, Liston has it. So now Shane wants 5th, but your top 3, they're starting to walk away. That's not something that Foster wants to see. He wants to see these 3 drivers all battle each other, which could happen sooner rather than later, I think.
Well, Chris Davis had so many laps with Benny Ellison behind him. He had so many laps with Chris Worrell behind him. And now, he's got James Lowe behind him. That, my friend, is a horse of a different color.
Yeah, it really is. And of course, we know the history between these two and how tough, hard-nosed racers they are, but still able to race themselves clean for the most part. You know, it's short track racing. You're going to have incidents with other drivers, but either way, they work their way around turns 1 and 2. Once again, Shane goes high. You also see Benny Ellison falling back through the field. He's down to 11th, so issues with him. But either way, Shane now gets his way around Liston in the 87th to move Shane to 5th for the time being as Liston's in 6th place. Cucumber Kurt Smith sitting there in 7th place.
Coming across the line, they're working lap 79 right now. My director hears me when I say lap 79. He knows what that means. Who's your big mover? Well, it is James Lowe. No, it's not. It's Adam Shane up 11 positions. They come across. It's lap 80. Being hounded there by James Lowe. Worrell starting to fall back in 3rd.
And so far, James Lowe knocking out that door of Chris Davis as they work their way around turns 3 and 4. There's still no neck and neck. It's just a matter of Davis getting in there.
Get winning, get the beer ball spinning. And the man who's thinking about winning is James Lowe. Rip the groove, make your move. Come on, 2. He's got his gets and shoes. Going into 3 and 4. Davis, Lowe, it's 2. Better every week.
It's just a little bit of practice there, but either way, you are still seeing this battle for the lead. Now it's bunching up as Davis is the proverbial cork in the bottle, as Lowe doing all he can to figure out how he's going to get around Davis for that lead. Behind him is Chris Worrell, of course. Ed Foster also sitting there in 4th place. It's just a train of everyone stuck and they don't know where to go.
Chris Worrell backing up a little bit. Ed Foster, Davis maybe slowing down a little bit to cause some trouble behind him. You know, there's a lot of tension going on in the Middle East, a lot of bad blood over there, some history that goes way back. You want something that'll rival that? Chris Davis and James Lowe, they've got themselves a history.
Well, of course, Davis running slower, trying to back Lowe up into World, though I think he knows that World's behind him. Shane with a little slap of the wall coming off of turn 4. And here's the thing. We know how close the drivers at Lowe and World are. So it's not going to work if that's what James is trying to do, unless you're, the Adelaide Blade trying up and forth.
Does leave the opportunity open for the 4. And again, you don't know if Davis is... Remember, Ellison was able to run Davis down. So it's very possible that Davis might be doing all he can right now. In warm-ups, Davis was well down the order for pace. He's only out in front because he finished 13th last week. So, it's not like he's a legitimate pole sitter.
Remember, Cheap said it, not me. I'll just say that much. Lowe, though, doing his best to hold on. 14 laps to go, still plenty of time. Of course, Lowe thinking big picture, too. He's 4 points ahead of Foster, 6 as they run on the circuit. So, you know what? Think those big points. And if Davis wants to go up there and run low, that's fine, too. It's a championship that matters. Here comes Lowe, though, looking to the inside. And I think that we're getting close to some sort of move.
All right, Lowe could not get the inside. Davis was not going to let that happen. This is a gamble. Oh, he takes it in incredibly deep on the outside. Now he's got his teammate back in third, but I don't think Chris Worrell... Oh, no, I'm smelling 3 wide, and that smells bad. They think not.
Oh. And Foster got tapped from behind by Shane. It looks like that they're going to go do that again. And Worrell does not go 3 wide as of yet. They're fixing to get bent here, Soup. This is not going to end well for the top 2 as they work their way around 1 and 2 once again. You see Lowe up on the high line. Worrell's going to look to the inside. Yes, he's going to make it 3 wide. No, he's going to think better of it through 3 and 4.
My goodness. If James Lowe can power around Chris Davis on the top side, well, get out the measuring tape, wrap it around his skull, because that crown is going on his head. And here comes the 3 wide nonsense. There it is. It'll never work. It works. It doesn't work.
Oh, it's fun. Oh, that is nothing you want to see right there. And of course, once again, it just goes to show you why you don't go 3 wide on a late model circuit unless you're somewhere wide. That was an interesting move, and that's all I'll put. Let's take a look at the replay though before. Oh, you know what? Can we go back a little further into the entry of 3? I want to see.
I don't care what happens here. Go ahead. Tell me what you see.
No, go ahead. Okay, right here. All right, let's go ahead and play it. So yeah, once again, he does the unwritten rule here in this series and starts to make it 3 wide. You see Davis pinch him down as you do. No contact there between the 2 of them. And Worrell looks like that he just gets on the flat, gets loose, which, that happens. Of course, Lowe, I don't think Lowe knows that Worrell's down there. So that's part of the problem right there.
Agreed.
Yeah. Worrell loses it a little bit and taps it. I don't think that was intentional absolutely whatsoever. I think that was just racing.
Well, making a 3 wide was intentional. I mean, it wasn't intentional when I put lemon juice on my cereal by mistake, but the results were horrible. Oh, that's what's
I'm not
happen.
saying that, that was a stupid move, but I think it was 3 drivers going for 1 place, 1 driver not knowing the other, and really it's going to be a racing incident, and all 3 were at fault in that one.
You are a kind and generous soul. All right. Then in my ear I have the director's commentary, which is completely different. All right, let's set the table. Well, I'm telling you, the racing gods, they are a fickle bunch. They sit up there and say, what can we do to make this interesting? Soup, how about we put the two guys who are 1-2 in the points, how about we give you a 3-lap shootout with them right next to each other? Does that sound good, partner?
Yeah, that sounds great. Let's do that. Let's see what happens.
Adam Shane, notorious for able to work his way through the field. So quiet, sitting in third. A lot of those spots vultured from attrition.
Well, here's the thing. We saw how. I say real quick. Here's the thing. How good was the Adelaide Blade last night? He almost won his first race. Just had a couple of slip-ups. Can we see him do the same? I think if he comes around to take the green flag, he's going to be full throttle, and I don't care how hard he mashes that pedal. He's going to try and get around James Lowe.
He's got to anticipate Lowe's move. He's got to get into the head of the 99, get between his ears, inside the helmet, get into his psyche, use his Vulcan telepathy to figure out when he needs to get on the throttle. He can't let go Lowe get the jump. Lowe was on the outside, and he was very effective powering around Chris Davis. Let's see if the Blade can do the same. Oh, horrible timing!
Well, here's the thing. He's got Liston on his back bumper, too, to kind of push him down the front straightaway. Green flag is out. Shane's going to dive to the inside. Once again, 4 laps to go. So Shane going to try and get down there on the turn 4. A little bit of a wall tap there by the Canadian Goose. We stay green for the time being, which is more for the wall tap. That was a wall smack, but this is exactly what James Lowe wanted. He wanted these two to race. 3 laps to go, Soup, as they're side by side.
You know, the U.S. Army needs to get in touch with Adam Shane because that guy, it could be useful right now. He knows how to race under the radar. Didn't really talk about him all race, and here he is up in the second spot as the white flag is going to be out in a couple laps. What a job from Adam Shane.
Well, how about Kurt Smith? 4th place, up 11 spots. As a little bit of a block there by Adam Shane. I'll tell you what, he went to the Helios Castroneves School of Racing, as that was a block party there going into turn number 1. Now you see Foster trying to look to the inside of Shane. Anything could happen in these next couple of corners, and the white flag is out. 1 lap to go for James Lowe as he tries to make it 3 in a row here at USA International Speedway. It's single file racing for the time being, as Ed Foster settles back and going to lose a little bit of time, but I think he's going to be quite content with the bottom step of the podium. But James Lowe coming from the back of the pack, but that's not the highest climber here in this race. That goes to Adam Shane. Either way, James Lowe comes down the front straightaway, takes the checkered flag, wins race number 5 on the season.
Baby steps towards the championship for James Lowe, as the 4-point gap now goes to 6 points with only 2 races to go. Still plenty of reason to tune in next week. A bad result from James Lowe could give the champion to go down under. The racing is over right now, but the broadcast is not. Lowe, Adam Shane, and Ed Foster will be on the podiums to talk to when we come back after we run down the entire finishing order. You're watching the Virtual Grip Network. Through the magic of iRacing, we are able to come to you from a racetrack that is long gone. USA International Speedway is the host of tonight's broadcast. It's the Virtual Grip Network's 9th round coverage of the Bootleg Racing League's Late Model Invitational Series, Season 33. The results are in. Let's give them to you now. Well, he started on the outside of row 6. He worked his way up, and he led the final 12 laps. We're talking about two-time, and possibly three-time champion James Lowe. Adam Shane does what he has a reputation of doing, quietly racing his way from 16th place all the way up into second. Ed Foster doing what he can. He drops only a few points to Lowe in the championship battle. Cucumber Kurt Smith, cool as ever, up 11 spots for fourth. With Todd Liston, boy, you got a lot of screen time. He'll round out your top 5. Back after your top 10. He is indeed the quiet man. Not sure if we gave him much screen time at all tonight. We're talking about Ruben Altice. Great job from the Chief. Steve Hovert finishes in 7th. 8th, 9th, and 10th go to John Wilson, Lowell Jewell, and Papa Kenny Allen. Partner?
Well, let's take a look at the rest of the field. 11th goes Chris Worrell, 12th to Tom Hilbert, Benny Ellison, Electric Boots in 13th. There'll be a Hilbert Ellison front row next week out. We'll preview that race here in just a little bit. That's Jeffrey Harden, Chris Hazlett, Brennan Myers. You got to shake your head to Chris Davis, though. What could have been 90 laps up front and ends up getting stuck in the wall there at the end. They caused that final caution of the race. Marino Valente ended up in the race, but out with mechanical problems.
All right, with that said, we get to talk to the race winner, and he is James Lowe. James is super in the booth. All right, look, the BRL is pretty strict about comments. I don't want to get you in trouble, and for my own sake, I don't want to be responsible for it. I'm going to let you know that no comment is a perfectly acceptable answer. With that said, man, there was a lot of bump going on between you and Ellison.
Yeah, I mean, it's tight racing, and, you know, these short tracks, you know, tempers can start flaring, and yeah, once you get used as a brake too many times, you got to kind of fight back a little bit there. So yeah, we're just holding them tight as we could, and hoping we didn't get wrecked. And luckily we didn't, and we moved on and we went forward and tried to get up to the lead there.
You know, I've worked a lot with, and you know this name when I say I've worked a lot with J.R. Shepard, the multi-time, too many to count champion here in BRL. And he mentions a lot that he thinks he gets raced harder. Sometimes because he has the reputation of being such a good driver. It's one thing to bump a back marker. It's another thing to bump James Lowe. I think you, on talent alone, saved that thing from going yellow 2 or 3 times, yes?
Yeah, and I mean, at some point you got to kind of stand up for yourself. And when you're getting used up, you know, you got to kind of start doing the using yourself. So, yeah, it's just part of the short track racing, though. It's, you know, part of it. And nobody wrecked. We both come out unscathed, and you know that's kind of how it is. And yeah, we're both able to go on, and probably the hard running helped some and didn't others.
You put on a great show, and you were able to get around Ed Foster. It keeps. I know you don't follow the points as closely as we do in the broadcast, but he's hanging with you. He's keeping you honest for that 3rd championship. Well done, James. We'll see you down the road.
I appreciate it. I'd like to thank Mount Mary Alice for watching as always. And you guys for broadcasting. I really can't wait to watch this one back. I'm sure it was exciting. And Lowell for letting me come on this thing.
Hey, we'll get you out of here on this one. Where does Aunt Mary Ellis hail from? Is she watching that? Is she near you or in another city? What city does she watch from?
Yeah, she's in Fayetteville, North Carolina.
Okay, well done. Well, Aunt Mary, thanks for watching, and we'll see you next week. Good job, James. Go get him. All right, partner, who you got?
All right, let's talk to our 2nd place finisher, Adam Shane. Well, you had a couple good races this weekend, 2nd place tonight. Talk about that race there near the end as well.
Yeah, it was a good weekend. Car felt good both nights. I think I had something for Lowe, but I needed more laps than just 3.
I'm going to say, yeah, you got unlucky there with that poor attempt at 3Y, but either way, up 14 spots. That's the highest climber of the race. We got to catch some of your passes there during the race, which is absolutely fantastic. But the question I had for last night, also for tonight, how did the track feel with this new track update with iRacing?
I thought it felt good, to be honest. I mean, you could really come off the corners and hold the throttle down. I mean, it felt good both nights.
Absolutely fantastic. So hopefully we see more and more of you up front, because we saw some fast drivers that we don't normally see up at the front. Second place, and of course also that should give you a good pump in the point standings. Is you're probably at least going to leapfrog Trey Bloom as well.
Yeah, I'm hoping. I just want to trying to be more consistent, basically. I don't want to go 4th and then go 18th and then 4th and 18th. So this year I'm really trying to just focus on being more consistent.
Well, as you know from last night with the 2-time winner, new pedals. There you go. Start there.
I don't got new pedals.
Yep, there you go. Either way, anyone you want to thank, congratulations.
Adam, it's soup. You know, if you get these good finishes, you don't have to start from way in the back, and it kind of hurts your reputation of climbing through the field.
I know. Maybe I should just keep sandbagging the next race. I start in the back and make my way up again. I mean,
16th of second's impressive. Go ahead. Tell me who you want to thank.
I just want to thank my wife for letting me do this, and that's it. Oh, I'm sorry, and I want to thank you guys for doing such a good broadcasting all the time. I love watching you guys every Sunday morning.
You got it. And of course, you know the rules here on VGN. You thank your wife. You got to give us her name.
Actually, her name is same as Jeff Harden. Her name's Brandy as well.
No, it's easy. You know what? I think there should be a new policy. All drivers need to have the wives with the same name. It'll make it much easier for Soup. Hey, we'll see you down the road.
Thanks, Soup.
And Brandy's, thanks for watching. All right, I get to talk to the man in third. It is Ed Foster. Ed, there are 2 stories we talked about during the show. Of course, the race for the lead, and then you and James Lowe. You started with him behind you, and you kept him there for a while, then he got under you.
Yeah, man, I was I was playing some pretty silly games with him, to be perfectly honest. I could see he had a look, trying to get me on the entry, and I started taking a bit of a shallower entry to hold him off. I thought, but not that many people actually fight him. I mean, Benny Ellison gave him a good old touch-up tonight, but, most of the time, dude's just waving through. So, I don't know, man. So, I was just like, nah, you're behind me. You're going to stay there for a little while. So,
you know what? I call them the even-odd fairies. This is the luck of the draw when the yellow comes out.
Yeah.
And my God, they seem to like Lowe, and they seem not to like you. Seems like you had an outside line almost every restart.
Yeah, it looked that way, but yeah, you've just got to make the best of what you've got. When I had James behind me, he was kind of trying to set me up off the exit, so I was delaying getting on the throttle to block his run and all sorts of stuff. And of course, you can do that with guys of his quality. He's not going to mess up. So, yeah, spent a lot of time sort of starting on the outside. Sure, when we had that restart, when Lowe got stuck on the outside of Ellison there, and I could see I was a big Benny Ellison fan at that particular point. I'm like, come on, man, stick it in there. And he was running up into James a fair bit, and like James said, using him up. And I had Shane sort of looking under me, and I was right up the top behind James while that was going on. And I'm like, eventually, I'm just like, no, I do not want to borrow this. So backed out of it, got to the bottom, slotted in behind Adam. And those two just kept going at it, and then the caution came out, and they scored James in front of Betty. I'm like, oh man, then he got the restart third right in there by the leader. So, yeah, it was good fun though. That was a really, really good race. If there's been a better race than that this season, I wasn't in it.
Yeah, we talked to Lister during the race, and he said the same thing. He wanted to back out of it because he didn't like the way they were racing. But he goes, I had Foster and the guys behind me. I had to go. I was right behind him. So, man, it was fun to watch. It was fun to broadcast. Another podium finish for you. All right, you're still not. Good luck.
Yeah, definitely. I'm not, I think that, most people would suggest that, James is the overwhelming favourite for the title at this point. But, if we can keep him honest, I don't think too many people would have had me as within 10 points of the championship lead at this point in the season on their bingo card for this one. So, yeah, I feel like I'm putting together a pretty good season. When I first started in BRL, I had a look at what the average finish usually was for, recent seasons for guys getting championships and so on, and usually it was 5 point something. And I'm averaging 4 point something this season. So, without James just doing James Lowe things, I'd be in a really good spot. So, yeah, I'm very happy with my season so far, regardless of how it turns out.
We call it best in class here at the BRL. Well done, man. We'll see you down the road.
Thanks, mate.
All right, there you have it. Turn over my partner because he's a professional. Watch how slick he gets us out of this broadcast.
All right, we've got some more racing later on this week. Let's punch it to Darlington Raceway for the Gen 4 Yesteryear Cup Series. That's Sunday. Soup, you and I are back. We're at Echo Park Speedway, March 18th, 9 p.m. Eastern, here on the Virtual Grip Network. And the Super Late Models and Late Model Series at Hickory next week. That's going to be absolutely fun. Always a blast to watch that. As always, got to thank everybody along the line. The Virtual Grip Network, of course, Ryan Seneca making us sound oh so good. The old Jewel for bringing us all together. And my partner, Bill Soupzod. My name is Jeremy Scott. Don't forget to keep it pointed forward, keep it between the ditches, and always keep it greasy side down. We'll see you next time on the Virtual Grip Network.